Hello, beautiful souls out there. I hope you're able to get out in nature like Starlight was. And this is the end of the night for Starlight here, so I am reaching out to all of you. And if you are new to my YouTube channel, you can find me on YouTube, and that is at Starlight, and that is Kathy with a K Dingman. Plus, you can give my videos a thumbs up, and you could subscribe to my YouTube channel. Plus, don't be afraid, don't be shy. Swing by and say hi to Starlight by leaving Starlight a message down below. Beep, beep, beep. And you could share my videos with your family, your friends. A rabbit, silly old rabbit, and a snail. Yeah, you could share my videos with a snail. And also, don't forget the notification bell, and you can find me on Instagram at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook, and that is Kathy with a K Dingman. Plus, if you would love, you can send love donations to Starlight through her Cash App, and I will have that information here. Ping! There it is. And also, today, is there are a lot of people out in the world, and you know what? They're overworked. They are working overtime, but don't have any time to live the life that they're working for. That you gotta wake up, to what are you doing? Why, because, I've just heard like 3 people in the last couple days. They work. And I don't even think they need that money. It's just that, people want to give people overtime and they take it. And you got to really be careful of this, because how are you going to have relationships outside of all the working? So yes, I have either heard or know people that, they're putting too much on their plate. And the sad thing is, when do they ever see their loved ones? When do they ever have time for themselves? And, with all those hours that they're putting out to make more money, what do you think they're doing when they get out of work? Well, any free time they're going to have, the house needs to get cleaned, the dishes need to be done. Now, a lot of people, they do have dishwashers. Starlight's not a fan. I'll hand clean my dishes, please. Please let me hand clean a dish. Starlight does not like dishwashers. I am the dishwasher. Starlight says she's the dishwasher. But anyone that, I don't know what the number is, but, there's a lot of people that have dishwashers, let the dishwasher do it. But you still got to put the dishes away. You got to put them in the dishwasher, and then you got to clean them again. No, I'm just kidding. That's why really Starlight does not like dishwashers, because, many times the dishwashers that I've used, it's almost like you're cleaning them up before they get cleaned. Because really, if you stick them in there, not rinsed off, and it just doesn't really make any sense. And I used to be a house cleaner. I used to be a cleaner. And so it never made sense with having a dishwasher. Of course, if you have a big family, you could stick everything in there, and, normally people are going to want to wait until that baby gets full to start that dishwasher. So, and then you got laundry to do. You got to keep up on the laundry, the vacuuming, the dusting, the yard work, the house repairs, spring work, right now it's spring cleaning. Are you in a, if you are overworked, are you even in a relationship? How's that going? How much time do you spend with that loved one when you're so busy running around, putting those extra hours in? That's why, number one, you got to really be careful what you sign up to when you go out and get a job. Really be wise about that, is kind of like, oops, sorry, Starlight's got an itch. like a relationship, or even when you get a house, you want to make sure you're getting everything that you want out of this deal, you know? And there's many times people, because of fear, sometimes it's the pressure of other people that are pushing them to get a job, you know? And so there's a lot of pressures that happen why people end up taking jobs when, you know, they say a yes when it's a no to themselves, and they're a lot of times it has to do with proving themselves to other people, like, hey, you know, I got this job. You know, they don't want to look bad, you know, because people are going to ask them, you know, hey, you know, did you find a job yet? Did you, you know, like, how's that going? And, you know, a lot of people are so worried about what other people think. And there's people right now that I know, it wasn't like they were hurting for money, you know, they have backups for, you know, but now they don't even have time with their family or even their friends. Because when they get out of work, guess what? They gotta clean the floor, you know, sweep the kitchen floor, mop the floor, keep the bathrooms up, you know, do the mowing. And then, you know, there's times that we have auto problems, you know, gotta take the car to the shop, pay those bills, but you don't even have a life. And this is the way of the world. This is what the world has taught many people to be, is to be a slave to the system, is work so much that you don't even have a life to live of your own. And it's really sad is, you know, you might, you know, I know somebody that's been putting stuff off, you know, and saying, you know, they didn't get married one year. And I'm like, okay, you know, what was their reason why they didn't get married last year? And now they're going to have another reason this year, you know? They ain't going to have time, you know? It's a fresh job again, you know? And, you know, a lot of people don't want to say no to people. And that's why you have to really count the cost, is when you go for that job, find out, you know, are you willing to sacrifice your whole, you know, work 6 days a week? How much money are they paying you, you know? But how are you going to keep relationships going, you know, when you're so busy working, you know, 6 days a week? And yeah, the money feels great, but you know what? You're working just to pay the bills. You're working just to, you know, do all these things, but you don't even have a life to live. You don't even, you know, when are you going to have some time to yourself? You know, and, you know, I just met a guy yesterday that I talked to, you know, he's searching for that one out there, you know, and he was telling me, yeah, I have this job here, and I also, you know, do houses, you know, and he goes, it's always a non-stop thing, you know, something always needs to get fixed, you know, because of doing what he does, and things fall apart, you know, and then they need to get, you know, so, and I was thinking as I was listening to him, it's like, you know, how many days do you work? How many hours do you put in a week? And then, you know, you don't even have time for a relationship. But, you know, there's people that will look out there, you know, and try to search for somebody, but they don't even have any time to spend with the person. And this is you know, a lot of it could be something, you know, as when these people were children, or it's about people pleasing, you know. You know, it feels good to, you know, and I've been around at a lot of companies, you know, go to work, and And this is what happens to a lot of people is they compare notes with other employees or even family members. Hey, how many hours did you do last week? You know, they could say, 40 hours, and then the other person is like, well, I did 60 hours this week, and how much money are you getting paid an hour, So a lot of people are doing the compare notes stuff, is, hey, look at me, I'm working. Look at all the hours, shouldn't I get rewarded for all these hours that I'm putting in? But they don't even have a life to live. And that's the trap. And that is what you got to watch out. That's the trap. That's exactly what society wants us. There's people that they don't feel good about themselves. They feel like they got to prove to somebody that they're, a hard worker by pushing themselves. And a lot of people, they don't realize that, they're not getting younger. So as you age, you got to kind of back up, pull back. Don't let the company, sorry, Starlight's got to get some cream on her. Don't let the companies, and this is the test, these are tests. We're always going to be tested on, what's the most important thing for us? Is it to get more money? Well, what good is having more money when, you could end up having health issues? Because your body, when you age, it's going to be giving you signals saying, slow down. I just know somebody also, and this happened to Starlight too, is, when you overwork yourself and your body is, slowing down as it ages, is people get sick. Now they can't even go to work because now their body just shut down and they need rest. They were pushing too hard, trying to, a lot of times it's to get more money. Hey, look at how much I made, so they can tell other people, to make themselves look good out with their family or friends or mom or dad. But now they're sick because they overwork themselves. And this is why it's so important is don't worry about, people pleasing with other people and comparing notes to how many hours you did, because in the end, all that money that you're making could end up going on hospital bills instead of, thinking that you're just going to get ahead. A lot of people do. They push so hard because, retirement and all this stuff and the money that they want later on. But everything, we think that we're in control of our life, and somewhat we are. But really, God is the one in control. And if we're not taking good care of ourselves, no matter how many hours you put in, no matter how much money that you make, God is in control. You're really not in control like you think. Meaning, if you're not doing things in the right order, it could hit you in the ass later on. Something with your health could get so bad that you now can't go to work because you ignored the warning signs of, too much work. Your body gives you signs, and, and there's a point where your body is just like communicating with you, but a lot of people, they ignore it because in society we've been taught to just keep pushing. And like many times I went to work when I was feeling like shit, and every time I went to work feeling like shit, I regretted it every single time. I'm like, because of fear. I feared what people were gonna say, and it has a lot to do with pride, and out of fear, thinking that is the only job I can get. They look at all the money I can make doing this job, but you want to be happy with all parts of that job. The hours, how much you get paid, where it's located, what are you doing? Do you have time to have with your loved ones? Or maybe you're so busy you don't even have time for the people that matter in your life. But, that is what society has taught people, is to keep on pushing and get more money so you can get more stuff, get more stuff, and there's a lot of people who own houses, they're, and it is kind of weird, a lot of people don't realize this. I'm no psychologist, but when I was a cleaner, and I knew some people when I was growing up, is people think it's a lot to do with their house. They might want to put more money into the house and repair this and repair that, but it has a lot to do with them as not being happy with their life. And like I knew somebody a long time ago, is, holy shit, they would rearrange the furniture, boom, okay. The whole living room, everything got rearranged, the carpet got cleaned, vacuumed and cleaned and rearranged. And my sister had a very hard time with this, is because she can't see. So anytime the furniture got rearranged, my sister would always bump into the furniture, because that's not where it was yesterday. So it has a lot to do with what's going on inside of them. And it's kind of weird. This is my belief, is by rearranging the furniture and cleaning things up, it's really that they need stuff inside that needs to get organized and cleaned up, not so much about what's outside of them. And even working on a house, the kitchen, like, hey, I want to get everything all new and do all this all different, but just like buying a whole bunch of stuff, that is only going to bring temporal happiness. And then after a while, you're back to not feeling, now it's something else in the house that needs to, I got to do this now in the house, when it's really about what's going on inside. So you got to be careful out there, is, making so much money. And why do you want, retirement? You're pushing for retirement. But what if you work overtime and push yourself too hard and don't listen to the warning signs that your body is telling you that you're overdoing it, especially when it gets hot, and making sure you're getting enough water, especially if you're working outside, like how strong, a lot of people, they want to flex, they want to show people how strong they are by pushing themselves, and, because, that's how we are, is to prove to other people, look at what I can do. But their bodies, it's best to let the younger folks do those kind of strenuous jobs. And as you age, is to slow down and, give yourself a break, take more time off. And because if you take care of yourself, God will take care of all the rest. But you can't, what happens is a lot of people stress out and they get worried. And when you do that, then things are not going to work out the way you were hoping, because you're not trusting. You got to trust that everything is going to be taken care of. But the way we are many times is that we worry so much about how everything is going to get paid for. But your health is more important than all that material stuff, and there's a lot of people, what they end up doing, and they put themselves even in a bigger hole, is, they feel like they got to impress other people by, getting an upgrade on a phone, buying new things, doing payments on this and car, got to get another car to keep up with everybody, the Joneses, and now you need more money to pay for all that, so it gives you kind of an excuse why you need to go get that job to get more hours, because now your payment for your car is more money. Now, you got this going on and that, and now you just spent all this money to repair the house and fix this and do that, or buy, but the people, are they happy inside with all this? They're stressed out to the max because they're not really doing things in the right order. So it's God first, then you. That means you got to take care of you emotionally, physically, your well-being. Make sure you're eating good. Make sure you listen to your body. When it says you're overdoing it, you got to slow down or take a break. Maybe you're not getting enough water. Like Starlight needs some water right now. I'm listening to my body. My body says, Starlight, take a drink. Okay. And this really adds a lot of stress to relationships when everybody's working so hard, making more money, and now the house is a mess. Some people can't deal with a messy house. Some people, they don't care, it doesn't bother them. But it's going to really add some pressure to the ones that really don't want a messy house. They want everything picked up. And then they're going to be playing the blame game of, whose fault is it that these things are not being taken care of? And nobody's going to even want to take care of those things because they don't even have the energy to even do it. And it causes so much stress with each other and their loved ones. So you really got to not worry about impressing other people. You got to listen to your body. God first, then you got to take care of every part of you. Are you eating the right kind of food to give you the energy that you need for all those extra hours you're working, Are you taking breaks when you need them? Are you drinking enough water? Are you getting exercise and, all that stuff? So, and then after you take care, then your closest ones, and then everyone else after that. But, people are going to get neglected, families are going to, they're going to call up and, hey, we can't even meet up, because I'm too busy working, can't even, it doesn't make any sense because now you can't even enjoy the relationship that, you want to get married to that person. But now you're not going to be able to get married this year either because you're too busy working. You ain't got time to get married. It takes a lot of freaking work to put all that stuff together, especially when people want big weddings. So don't overwork yourself. Got to take care of you because it could mess you up in so many different ways. Stress is a big, it adds so much stress to your body and being on your feet, and there's many people that they overdo it, and now they can't go out and have fun with their family like they're used to because their body is worn out and they're in pain. So I love you so much. I really hope you get a lot of help from this video. This is Starlight. Namaste. This is Starlight. Love, light, and peace. Thank you for watching. This is Starlight. Namaste. This is Starlight. Love, light, and peace.